Ho, ho, ho. Happy Merry, everybody. How's it going? It's me, Comic Crack, and happy Boxing Day. It has been a bit. It's been a bit. Um, yeah, it's been a bit, but I'm here. I'm still alive. We're well. We had a great Christmas. I hope you had a good Christmas and are having a good holiday so far. Um, my laptop crapped out on me. So that's great. Thankfully, I'm using my phone these days for all of this stuff, but the laptop is now dead, which kind of sucks. So still trying to figure out what the hell I'm gonna do next. Gonna have to replace it. Um, I've got a lot of books to talk about. I've done quite a bit of reading. We're a couple of weeks behind because I haven't been doing the Sunday. We haven't been doing the chat. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see possibly about doing a chat this Sunday. But I haven't checked in with anybody, so we'll see. But that's the tentative plan, to go back to our Sunday live chat. So before we talk about stuff that I've read, I figured while we're waiting, I'm not sure if anybody is going to show up today. But if they do, I'll wait for a little bit to dig into the books that I read. I went to a 204 Comics this afternoon. They had a big sale going on. Really great sale. I got a few things, nothing major. I thought I'd just kind of quickly show you those while we wait for people to join in. The 50-cent bins that they had were now 25-cent bins, so I was able to get a bunch of the thriller issues that I was missing. I've got 2 of them already. I think it's 4. Yeah, I've got issues 4 and 5 already, so found another 6 issues. This final one here, issue number 11, has Alex Nino art in it. So that's kind of cool. Illustrated by Alex Nino. So that's kind of great. I haven't read the couple of issues that I already have. This was one of those that was recommended to me when I was talking about Trevor Von Eden. This was kind of the resounding, you got to check out Thriller on Twitter. They were talking about it. So at 25 cents a pop, how the hell can I go wrong? And these are in really nice shape considering the random boxes that I was digging through, the 25-cent bins. They were in pretty rough shape. So those are pretty nice. Nice bonus there. He had a sale on recent back issues. They were $1 a piece. So I took a chance on a couple of things. T. Edward back. This is Sea of Time number 1. It is a Floating World Comics from 2022. Hello. You're here. Thank goodness you're here. Welcome. Nice to see you. I hope you had a good holiday. This looked great. So it was all sealed up. So I just did a search online to see what the interior art looked like. And it looked fantastic. But I think it was one of those books that at $1, I would have given it a chance regardless. So I'm glad I picked this up, though. This looks beautiful. I don't know anything about this creator. But I love the looks of this. It's kind of a miniature sized, some color pages as well too. A smaller size, kind of like that Behemoth Comics or Sumerian, now I guess they're called, that sort of size of book. So very much looking forward to this one. T. Edward back, Sea of Time number 1. Let's put that over there. Another one that I thought I'd try out was this book, Intolerance by Silent T Comics. Inspired by true events is what it says. I don't know the story about this one. Printed in Canada, 2022. First printing. This looked really great. I don't know if this is local, I don't know the story behind this at all. I guess I should look on the Instagram. There's the Instagram at Silent _T_comics. Zayla's previous adventures can be explored in toasted blueberry banana split with a cheddar cherry drizzle drop. It looks fantastic. A mix of color and black and white. Some wild looking pages. So I really dug it. They had that other book as well too. It was all just black and white. I thought I'd give this one. This one was kind of more visually appealing to me on a flip through. So I thought I'd start with this one. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody knows anything about this book, but it looks very cool. I'll read it, and we'll probably talk about it on the next chat. Check that out. Great stuff. So that is Intolerance. Yeah, it really does, Eliza. Another Firefly. This is Keep Flying, #1. I don't know how many. I'm assuming this is going to be another mini-series. Again, this was a buck. It was a Firefly I didn't have. The art inside doesn't blow me away, but I'm a sucker for Firefly. Enough said about that. This is Tales from Harrow County. This is the new 4-issue mini-series. I unfortunately didn't have my CLZ app updated. I'm pretty sure I only had the first 3. So again, being $1, even if I do have this one, you know, it's not so bad. I didn't spend too much money on it. This is the third. Is this the third Tales from Harrow County miniseries? The fourth? I don't even know. I'm so far behind, but again, it's cheap. It's nice to have it and just kind of get these issues when I can find them. Another one that was worth trying out for $1. I think this is a one-shot from Sumerian. This is #1 anyway. They had 3 different covers for this first issue. This one just looked the coolest. Again, looking online just to see what the art was like. I loved the style inside this. So another no-brainer. This kind of tanned paper. I'm not normally the biggest fan of, you know, these faux aging and this kind of faux tea-stained paper. Not that it offends me in any way, but it's usually not something. I think it normally looks a little hulkier than I think what the intention was, but still, this art looks pretty stellar. Has kind of a Zerit vibe to some of it. So that looks pretty fun. That is, what does that say? Turbo Kid. Skeletron Unleashed. And then in just kind of the other cheap bins, there was the some Aliens miniseries. The Jim Woodring one was there. I have that one already. I thought I'd try another one. This is Wagner, Mendoza, and Mashinsky. This is Aliens Berserker. All 4 of them were there. Again, interiors looked pretty interesting. I don't know much of the Alien and Aliens franchise as far as the comics go. I've heard some good things about some of the stuff. This was cheap, like borscht, so I thought I'd give it a shot there to dive into it again. I really should pull out those Jim Woodring issues again and give those a reread as well. And then there was a one-shot Aliens written by Peter Milligan, Sacrifice. Peter Milligan and Paul Johnson on art. I love Peter Milligan. I think he's always worth checking out. This art looks pretty cool as well. So, and especially since it's a one-shot, low bar. For $2 whole, I picked up book 3 of Aquaman Andromeda. Unfortunately, they didn't have issue #2. I've only got issue #1. This is written by Ram V. I didn't really love the first issue, which is why I didn't pick any of the other ones up. But for $2, I'll give it a try and hopefully keep an eye out, and hopefully I'll be able to find issue #2. I do like Ram V, the little bit that I've read, even though I found that that new Swamp Thing kind of got a little stale near the end. I wasn't as crazy about it, so I'm a little skeptical about his superhero stuff. I don't give a shit about Aquaman. And like I said, the first issue really was, it just, I couldn't tell you the first thing that happened in the first issue. Let's put it that way. But again, for $2, I think it was just a 3-issue series. I don't know. This Black Label stuff is kind of worth picking up if you can get it for cheap, I guess. The Catwoman book was pretty good, even though I haven't finished reading that final issue. But yeah, so for $2, why not? And probably one of the more exciting things that I found during this sale were a few of the Swamp Thing annuals, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Amazingly, issue number 2, which is the Alan Moore one, where the team with Phantom Stranger and Deadman, they end up running into, where's that panel? There we go. My Man, the Spectre, which I love. I've read this a million times in the collected Alan Moore Swamp Thing trade paperbacks that I have, but it's great to have these single issues as well too. I love that stuff. And then there's a few other ones here. So Veitch writing issue number 3. I think it's Stephen Bissett on issue number 4 here, or sorry, annual number 4 rather. And then annual number 5, which has some Neil Gaiman written stuff in here, and there's even Mike Mignola stuff. So that was very cool to find some of those. Not that I'm looking hard for the single issues of the Alan Moore run or anything, but these were so cheap that I thought it was worth it to pick up these annuals. And I got a couple of trade paperbacks, which will lead us right into kind of talking about what I've read. This is the only one that I haven't read yet out of the trade paperbacks that I got from the shop today. Afro Samurai anime that came out quite a few years ago. I think there was a follow-up series as well. I've only seen a few episodes. I'd like to dig back into it. And this creator, Takashi Okazaki, was just on Kayfabe recently. When Ed went to Japan, he did an interview with him because he worked on a Marvel title. Isn't that right? Was it a single issue? Someone who follows that will know better than I will. Chris, Chaos and Comics, will probably know because it was a nod to his favorite, Lone Wolf and Cub. But this looked great. There was a bit of a discount on trade paperbacks as well. I think 25% off, I think is what it was. So I'm intrigued by this to see what this is like. Ashley, one of the guys that, or the guy that owns the place, he was raving about the anime as well too. He was pretty excited when he saw this was coming out. So I think he's a fan. Looks great though. So I'm very curious to dig into this and then dig into the show as well. I thought I missed it. So now going into stuff that I've read, I thought I missed it. I loved book 1 of Friday. When I went to Galaxy Comics to pick up my pull list, I was hoping that they would have more copies. They actually didn't order in that many copies is what they were telling me, and they sold out right away. And then I called another shop and checked in with another shop, and they were all sold out as well too. So this was kind of like my last hope. 204. They had 2 issues on the shelf, thankfully, so I managed to get myself one. This was the first thing that I read when I came home. I really like this series. I'm very much invested in this story. One of the things, surprisingly enough for me, dropping F-bombs every 35 seconds, I could really do without the swearing in this. She drops the F-bomb a few times, and I feel like it's unnecessary. I think it kind of takes away from the story, strangely enough. Again, it's not that the word offends me or anything. I just feel like this is a story that I could read with Lillian so far, because it's not terrifying. You know, there's some scarier type of moments in it, but I think it's a really interesting kind of mystery. Who knows where it'll go for book 3 though. But because of those, it kind of takes it out of that. I feel that by including those swears, it takes it out of that realm of becoming something that could be maybe not necessarily all ages, but at least something that's a little more accessible. Not that my daughter hasn't heard me swear a million times. But I just find that it's unnecessary in this because this is such a strong story. The characters are fantastic. I really, really like this. I got the free comic book day issue was the first time I read it, where they just released that one issue. This is available digitally. This contains issues 4, 5, and 6. So that's a good sign that it's going to be possibly every 3 issues they'll get a collection. It's a little bit smaller format, which isn't so bad. I think it still works. I would like to see it a little bit bigger, but that's just me. I think it still works at this size as well too. But if you don't know this Brubaker penned story, it's well worth it. We're really getting into the mystery now. I won't tell you too much about it. You just got to pick it up and give it a read. Chapter 6, In the Nick of Time. So very, very good stuff. Image is putting out these print versions because I guess he still has that deal with Image there. So yeah, excellent read. It's one of those, at the end I want to go back and I want to read book 1 again because of things that happened in this one. So I'm gonna have to hunt down where the hell I put book 1. Even looking at my shelves right now, I don't see it, so who knows where it is. Anyway, very glad to have found this. This collects the 3 issues of Until My Knuckles Bleed. I'm having a hell of a time finding the one issue that I'm missing. I bought issue number 3 twice accidentally because of all this multiple cover bullshit. So this was great to find this. This collects everything, and then there's some short stories as well. I don't remember if these 3 short stories were backups in the issues themselves. I really like this book. That was a scratch ticket from the Christmas stocking. I really like this book a lot. I think it's really fun. The art is very cool. There's a lot of Frank Miller references all throughout it. That's the big reference point for sure. But I see some like Darwin Cook. I see some what the hell is his name? Shit, man, blanking on his name. The guy from Batman animated series. I see a lot of that kind of style in here as well too. Just a fun little story about this ex kind of superhero / soldier in his kind of post superheroic life, where he's a bouncer at a strip club owned by some Russians, and everything that happens there. Yeah, it was a great read. I read this tonight. It's not something that's breaking new territory or anything like that, but I found it a lot of fun. I'll still keep my eyes open for that issue number 2, because it would be good to have these in singles as well. But I'm really glad that they collected this in this kind of slim volume to just get everything out there. Until My Knuckles Bleed. This is Behemoth here as well. $14.99, so $15 US. A little steep considering you're only getting 3 issues, but I guess that's on par with it. Probably, was it a $4.99 book or was it a $3.99 book? I don't remember, but there you go. Man, it's been too long. I won't talk about this too much. I feel like I've talked Thor Gold to death on this channel. It's one of those books that I've talked about a lot. For Christmas, Bruce Timm, thank you very much. That's exactly who I was thinking of. Books 15, 16, and 17. I got these for Christmas this year. I usually have some books. I usually get some Thor Gold every single year. It gets put on a list to somebody in the family. I've read these already. I love this book so much. It was really great. It's been a long time since I've read a volume of this. Oh, look at that. I do have volume 22. Shit, if I would have known that. I on the back here, it only shows to issue number 20. I've ordered 18, 19, and 20. But I see on my shelf I also have number 22, so I should have got number 21 as well. Anyway, that's fine, because I couldn't wait. this first story, The Cage, Thorgold has previously in Thorgold, he lost his memory and kind of lived this other life for a couple of years. He regained, well, it was more involved than just lost his memory, but I don't want to rehash too much. He gained his personality back. He's back to being Thorgold, and he's on the hunt to go find his wife and family again. So it was really fitting to come back to this, and there's the family gets reunited in this story, not without its pitfalls. Really great story, but I think the standout out of these ones was this book here, Arachnia. I really loved this story, and it really encompassed what it is that I love about this book. The ability to kind of create these fantasies. There's some like Conan and Viking kind of qualities in it. There's some magical elements in it. Thorgold and family are traveling, and they get split up, and Thorgold and what the heck is the girl's name? Wolf Cub, I think, or something, crash. And yeah, Wolf Cub, and kind of get introduced to this island where these people have been living there for about 1,000 years. And we find out that this mist that surrounds them, people that live on the island don't think that there's anything past that mist, the mist of nothingness. So when Thorgold comes walking out of the mist of nothingness, the assumption is that he's a demon sent to kill them. And when he starts to talk to them about, I was sailing on the sea, and, you know, I've come from another land, they don't understand what he's even talking about. They have no idea. They've been isolated as a people for so long. They think that they're the only people that exist. They have this ritual where they have to sacrifice 2 strong males. I think it's every equinox, to this spider goddess that lives underground. And it just kind of goes from there. It's such a nicely done story. It unfolds really, really well. It's very imaginative. The characters are incredible. All of the characters feel fleshed out. You feel like there's a history there. And it's just the one issue. So you go on this adventure with Thorgold throughout this whole series, and you just find these kind of one-off, really intriguing stories, but there's still a story going through his life. People are still aging. Stuff is still happening. It's not that these things are happening and it's just forgotten about, and he stays the same age and his kids stay the same age. Everybody ages and grows. It's such a good issue. This was one of my favorites out of the whole run, I think, so far. So I'm right in the mindset of Thorgold, so I can't wait to get another 3 volumes. Yeah, those should hopefully make it here in, I don't know, about a month. The coloring is fantastic. I felt like the art in this, the Cage issue, was a little looser than normal. This one kind of put me right back into it. There are moments where it does kind of remind me a little bit of Corbin. There's some Corbin kind of feel to some of the character design. Yeah, such an amazing book. If you don't know Thorgold, give it a shot. This one was probably the weakest out of these 3. Even overall, it was one called The Blue Plague. Just finished it tonight. It was just okay. I felt like the story was a little rushed to wrap up at the end. Each of these books, you're getting 48 pages here in each of the books, except for the first 2. 1, 2, 3, 4. Looks like the first 6 volumes. They're double. Yeah, the first 6 volumes have 2 stories in each, and then every volume after that only has 1. And like I said, the latest one that's been released is book number 23. These are Cinebook. So if you buy Cinebook, or you have somewhere where you buy Cinebook and you don't know Thorgold, I'd say start from the beginning, even though the English translations have been released out of order, apparently. You could start anywhere. I think I've said it in a video before. The first one that I ever read was book number 4, and I thought it was still a really good start. That was a really nice little story, and then I kind of went backwards from there. So while there is this kind of linear time happening in here, you don't necessarily need to start with book number 1 if you can't find it. But highly recommended stuff. Thorgold is an absolute blast of a read. So the rest of the stuff we're going to talk about tonight is stuff that I read over the past few weeks. Some that I remember, some that I think I remember. hopefully, we'll make some heads or tails out of things. When I went looking for Friday, I went to a place downtown called Book Fair. Had a look in their bins and things, and this was poking out amongst a few issues of Asterix as well. I've never seen a Lucky Luke English issue before here in town. When I have seen Lucky Luke, they've been French. Sorry, things are falling down here. Chaos is happening around us. Give me one sec here. Lean that way. Put these here. I haven't read Lucky Luke since I was a kid. This was one of the books with Asterix and with Tintin that I remember very specifically in my school, like in my elementary school. Now, the thing that I don't necessarily remember is how much we read in English versus how much we had in French. I don't read French, but they were always there. I remember flipping through them and taking them out anyway because I was fascinated by the books and I loved the art. So this was the first time in a long time that I've read Lucky Luke. There was a cartoon as well, Bang Bang Lucky Luke, that I also watched. I don't remember off the top of my head if that was ever translated in English either. I probably just watched the French versions, just like we did with Tintin, until they started doing the English versions. There was a Tintin cartoon. I've got the box set now as well, too. That we loved. Even watching the stuff in French, I still found it amazing to watch. So this was such a fun book to flip through and read. I really would like to find some more. So this is a story about Jesse James, and it's, again, just beautifully presented, the story itself. So we get a little introduction to Lucky Luke and what a good gunslinger he is. We get an introduction to his horse. The name of the horse I'm blanking on right now. Anyway, so we get a nice introduction to our kind of two main characters, and then we finally meet up with Jesse James as well, who fancies himself the West's Robin Hood, and we get a couple of good gags here as well too. So stealing from the rich to give to the poor. This poor guy is so excited about it. He says, "I'm rich. Rich, I tell you." To which he said, "How's that?" I said I was rich. Okay, your money or your life. And he steals the money back. So nice, really nice little gags as well too. The way it's all laid out is a lot of fun. So I can't remember how much I paid for this. $4, something like that. It wasn't very much, but I wish there was more. So I'll be keeping my eyes out for more of these. This is Dargo Presents. It was sealed as well too, in plastic, not in kind of like a magazine bag, but like a actual sealed plastic bag, which was odd. I haven't seen that before for these books when I found them, or these types of books rather, not Lucky Luke. And they did have some Asterix there as well too, but I'm a little less interested in Asterix than I am with Lucky Luke and Tintin. So there we go. Really great. So fast he can shoot a hole in his own shadow. So good, man. And then some of the other books there in English and in French. Some of the Domino comics that I read. This is Blah Blah Blah, issue number 1 and issue number 2. Issue number 3 has just come out, and I'm going to see if I can flip because I cannot remember the name of the creator. Juliette Collette is her name. These were surprisingly good, and I think one of the things that made this an even better read for me was reading issue number 1 and 2 together. So this is kind of your, maybe not classic, but it's your autobio comics here. And, you know, not looking at herself, she's definitely shining a light on herself as far as her kind of quote unquote inadequacies and her failures in relationships and things like that. This first one was just okay. It was better when I read the second issue, even the format of this one. So this one being a little smaller, feels a little more confined. It feels a little more, I don't know, a little bit more depressing, still funny. This strip itself was really great, but there was something about this one that I thought really fit with this smaller format. And then in this issue, just amazingly touching storytelling in here, especially when she starts talking about kind of her really good friends and people that she spends a lot of time with. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff. There was a real, my new friend Nathaniel, this was the stuff that really impressed me a lot. I can't quite put my finger on it, but there was something about the storytelling that, I don't know, it just jumped off the page, the kind of tenderness of their relationship. And, you know, again, even talking about flaws and things like that, and the kind of confusion in her relationships with people. Holy shit. I thought really worked incredibly well. I really want to pick up issue 3. I think Domino might have issue number 3 in already. I can't afford to do an order just yet, so I'm hoping when I finally can, I will be able to grab the next one. But this is highly recommended, even if you can just get issue number 2. This reads well on its own, but I thought the pairing of 1 and 2 impressed me a lot, just to see the kind of the change from issue to issue. The art is extraordinary. She's got an Instagram page. She's done some videos on YouTube as well. Not very many, but there's a few of them. Hello, Cthulhu Han Luke. Happy holidays to you as well. So yes, very much recommended. Issue number 2. So this is 2022 as well. It's blah, blah, blah. Issue 1 and 2. Really great stuff. Let's see, what else do we have here? Samuel Benson, is that right? Yes, Samuel Benson. So this is Long Gone. What issue number is this? This is from 2021. I'm not sure what issue number this is, but I've talked to Samuel Benson before in the past. I've got a couple of other things from him. These are all kind of shorter stories in his very distinctive style. I love Samuel Benson. This I have to give a shout out to Four Color Apocalypse, Ryan Carey, for turning me on to Samuel's stuff, because it was his suggestion. I think the very first Domino order that I ever did, it was thanks to Ryan. He dropped a bunch of names, and Samuel's was one of them. This is really entertaining stuff. There's this kind of simplicity to it, like this faux simplicity, because it's really not at all. It's kind of one of those creators. There's something really wonderful about comics where you see them and you feel like, well, I can draw that. I can write something like that. But as you kind of get into it and see kind of the way he's telling the stories, the types of stories, it's very clear that no, you fucking can't. You can't whatsoever. This is this individual's voice. It's a very distinct voice, and just really entertaining. Just that little bit bizarre mixed with kind of these almost believable, realistic premises to some of them. But there's just something off about all of it that I really, really enjoy. I think I have everything from Samuel that Domino was carrying, so I might have to. I don't know if I've ever looked him up on social media. Well, he does have a email address, and I'm assuming maybe that's an Instagram handle there. So I'll have to look that up to see if maybe I can get something directly from him. So another one that's recommended, and I mean, this is going to be the Domino Books shout out video, basically, because that order that I just got in, I've read everything from them. So forgive me for pimping them hard in this video. I won't say much about this. We all know how much I love Nate Doyle. This is Crooked Teeth #9. Loved it. Really great. I might have actually talked about it already. Another one you can get straight from Nate himself. You can find him on Instagram. But I think now Domino has issues of this as well. So this is Crooked Teeth #9. Love it. Love his stuff so much. This was a bit of a gamble for me. Floyd Tangeman, who is kind of edited a couple of the, I think it was Cowlick and I think Tinfoil anthologies. This is his book, and this is one that I honestly don't remember much about now that I'm looking through it again. I do remember that I loved the art. It was a gamble for me because I'm just not a fan of the tinfoil that I've read. I don't believe I've tried an issue of Cowlick, but I've seen some reviews of it online and seen people flip through them. It just doesn't really appeal to me. So I was a little hesitant, but when I saw some of the interiors, I really, really like the art in here a hell of a lot. But like I said, I'm drawing a blank on what any of these stories were. I don't know if there was anything that stuck with me in that way. But I love these pages. It's really amazing. I would gladly pick up more of this if he decided to do any more. I think this is, yeah, volume #1 there. So I don't know if this is something that he's planning to keep going on with. But if he does, I won't hesitate for a second to pick it up. And I mean, you can see kind of the style that's going on in here. Stuff like this with these very small Joe Matt type sized panels happening. Yeah, some kind of pinups. Yeah, these are really great, actually. There's a little, what's his name, Mark Bell-ish type of flair to some of this. Very cool. Looking through this again, I might have to give this a reread. This is fantastic, flipping through this again. Yeah, look at this. So good. So good. So Miasma Myopia, Dead Crow is their collective. And I think Dead Crow has a website. Let's see if there's any info on the inside here. It's from 2022. Yeah, there we go. Right down there. Deadcrow.org if you want to check out more. I think Dead Crow also had blah, 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 issue #3 available on their website too. So a couple of different places where you can get some of these kind of books. So check that out. Very much worth it. One that I've been waiting for a long time because I've heard so many good things about it. And honestly, it didn't disappoint whatsoever. There's always that fear of this kind of overhyping some of these kind of books, and then you get in, it just doesn't live up to it. This is definitely one that lived up to the hype. This is issue #3 of Vacuum Decay. I think there's, what is there, 6 issues out at this point. Issue #1 might be the only one that's sold out. Front cover by Jasper Jubinville, back cover by Josh Simmons. There you go. Mr. Simmons, I presume. And this is kind of a horror anthology. And there's the list of your creators there. Corinne Halbert from Acid Nun, Harry Nordlinger, Paul Jerzak, David Eno, David Enos, Cameron Forsley, Carmichael Jones, etc., etc. Fantastic. Steep, definitely a steep price tag, no doubt about it. I guess I understand it. It doesn't, I don't love it, but yeah, I would like to pick up the rest of the issues. And if you go to Vacuum Decay, I think it's the Vacuum Decay website. I don't remember the website. Let's see. So this is the 4th printing. I think you can probably look up Vacuum Decay Comics and it should bring you to a website. I just can't remember if it's vacuumdecay.com or if it's Nordlinger's site itself. I honestly don't remember. You can get a bunch of the issues there, like I said, except for issue number 1, which I think is sold out and hasn't gone into another printing. You can even get some original art. There's some t-shirts, posters, I think, as well too. So yet another one that I would love to drop a boatload of money on and just get a bunch of stuff, but it's gonna have to wait. Yeah, this was a fantastic story. This was so great. Again, like, I have vague memories of these, but this one really struck me as this kind of spirit of death, smoking a cigarette. Is kind of Eve's just kind of peeping in on our kind of main couple. I don't think she ever sees it. He always does. And then it kind of goes from there to eventually him on the outside looking in on his past life. This is a fantastic centerfold here. Cameron Forsley doing this and kind of feeling like a whole bunch of different underground artists in one pinup. Really beautiful stuff. Hopefully you can see that all right without this glare. There's Corinne Halbert there, Acid Nun. Yeah, excellent stuff. One that I'll for sure be trying to pick up more of. Let's see, before we go to that, let's finish off this here. An anthology called Cram. Yeah, have you read Acid Nun? That's another one that I'd like to pick up. I follow her on Instagram, and I love her style. And the comic board, Matt talked about Acid Nun and really raved about it, and how he was kind of surprised at what the story was, because you don't get a sense of it when you see the samples from the pages and some of the art. He was impressed with the storytelling as well too. So this is Cram. This is an anthology, issue number 1. Again, not one that I could tell you much about because I don't quite remember. Oh yes, that's right. Uber to Queens. This was a pretty interesting little story, taking an Uber and getting in a conversation with the driver and talking about women in relationships. That was a pretty great little story. A bunch of names that I just don't know. Again, Domino Books. Yeah, this was the only person whose art I recognized, and it's Andrew Alexander, I believe, is the artist here. This was a pretty great story. Going to a fair. And like I said, just an excerpt from a much larger story that I wouldn't mind trying to hunt down. Fun stuff overall. Yeah, this is the problem with doing these videos so late. I can't remember exactly much about this other than just flipping through it and loving the styles of art in this one. The coloring is really great too. Yeah, it's been weeks since I read these. This was the only thing that I do remember is this one did nothing for me, this last one. Goblin 64. I don't know for a fact, but it feels like it's an AI generated kind of comic pretending to be stills from an old video game with a story wrapped around it. And it just didn't do anything for me. I think I maybe read the first page, and it's supposedly from Nintendo Power magazine. And I just stopped reading because it just held zero interest. And it's one of the longer, if not the longest pieces in this anthology. But yeah. And this one I did show off already. I flipped through it a few times, and all I'll say is, if you haven't grabbed a copy of this from Domino, I would urge you to grab a copy. This is just phenomenal stuff. Kyle Ranson, 2022, Moodus. and it's just fucking gorgeous. Like I said, I've looked through this a number of times. This is another guy I would love to own some of these original pieces. I'm wondering how big they were to begin with, but it's beautiful stuff. Gorgeous coloring, really amazing design. Even just looking at a page, just as a page, it's kind of magazine sized as well too, which helps. It hasn't been shrunk down too much, but again, I don't know how big these original ones are. I'm guessing that they're probably about this size, probably pretty close to the same size as they're reproduced here. But this is just a phenomenal bit of work. I'd love to see some more. There are kind of, every once in a while, you do get one that sort of reads like a little bit of a strip, a little bit of a story. But mostly they're just these gorgeous pieces of art. And as we kind of go through, it starts to, the backgrounds start to get a little darker, and started getting some different colored backgrounds, which really darkens everything up too, which I love. Look at this stuff. Yeah, this one here, kind of one of the ones that's very much a feels like a comic strip, which even kind of starts over here as well too, driving through the countryside and the different landscapes before finding this merman or creature from the Black Lagoon. So yeah, all silent, fucking gorgeous. Moodus, Kyle Ranson. In my continuing adventures of digging into some Tradmore, I found 2 of the 3 volumes of the Luther Strode series. And I'll say that I liked the second volume better. I liked Legend of Luther Strode better. Is that the one? Yeah, Strange Talent. Yeah, so Strange Talent is the first one. And where kind of Luther Strode, our main character, gets his powers and starts turning into this superhero. There's a real unhinged kind of, when it gets really violent, it gets just uber violent as the story kind of continues, especially in volume number 2. I am obsessed with him, and I do really, and you know, the big reason was I wanted to see where he started. I've heard really good things about Trad and Luther Strode. I would, this is in the pile of don't rush out to get it unless you're obsessed like I am and want to be a completist. I wouldn't rush out and get it. It was just okay. Like I said, I found the first volume kind of dull, to be honest. It had its moments for sure. The second volume picked up, but that's because he just kind of goes bonkers in this issue, and it becomes like a crazy Japanese genre movie with this just ultra violence, Takashi Miike level ultra violence, as he's just completely unhinged. Of course, now I can't find any other ones. It kind of picks up near the end as these other assassins get introduced to kind of take him out. Yeah, absolutely. You do have to start somewhere, 100%. You totally do. I'm just glad that he evolved, because it just feels like he evolved pretty rapidly to where he is now, which I think, oh shit, it's this week. The next issue of Doctor Strange comes out this week, actually. His Fall Sunrise, is that what it's called? The next issue comes out on Wednesday, so I'll have to make sure that I go and grab that. So there you go, 2 books of Luther Strode there. There is a third volume. I can't remember the title of it, but there is a third one. I just haven't seen it yet. If I find it for cheap, I'd pick it up, but I don't think I'm going to hunt for it too hard. One that surprised me, issue number 3 of Hitomi. I picked up the first 2 issues and they were okay, but it didn't grab me. This issue really worked for me. I thought this was a fantastic issue. the best one so far. Gives you a little bit of sense of potentially what we're going to get with this. We do have our main story, but now they're kind of these wandering Ronin, or at least he's the Ronin, and she's kind of the underling, the person, the kid that he's training. So really, yeah, an Ashley Wood cover. That's correct. Yes, this Ashley Wood cover. This variant. This was the only one that they had when I went to pick this up. It was the same price. This one is in my pull list at Galaxy. So, yeah, that's why I grabbed this one. I guess there was some Spawn. Is this some Spawn related thing? Is that what that is? Really, really nice story. Again, if you're going to fall into those kind of, if you're going to fall into the world of holy Norse mythology, that type of storytelling where you're telling these little one-offs that almost feel like these folk tales, you got my attention already. But this one has the added bonus of this kind of underlying story between our two main characters. I really, really got a kick out of this, especially when we got to the end. It really brought up a few points in their kind of worldview, of how they kind of approach things. So I thought that was a really nice touch. So I'm looking forward to more. And I think even just flipping through it again, it's one of those books that, there isn't even an ad at the back. So all we get is the inside front cover credits, and then the inside back cover, an ad for the next issue, basically. And then, like we saw already, this wraparound. Every Image book has some Spawn variant. Okay, that makes sense then. So I dig this. So I'm glad I stuck with it, even though 1 and 2 didn't really sit with me all that well. I'm really glad I stuck with it because that was a solid read, that one. Let's see. I did a trade with Donald Rex. Should be coming soon. He found a bunch of issues of Bow for me. I found this one just randomly. This is issue number 1, one of the issues that he wasn't able to find. So I gave this a read. And then on YouTube, you can watch the one-shot anime of Bow. Pretty fun stuff. I really like the art in this. I'm very intrigued by a lot of this early Viz stuff. So I can't wait to get that package of books from him. Pineapple Army is one of the other ones that he's sending me some issues of that he was able to find. I can't remember what else. It was Bow and Pineapple Army for sure. There might have been a third one, but I'm blanking right now. So anyway, hopefully that gets here this week. This was really fun. Intriguing story. Again, this sort of mutant creature who gets woken up from this kind of frozen ISO unit on this train. And all hell is going to break loose. And the anime is another one of those kind of uber violent bits of animation as he kind of, once he gets kind of unfrozen and brought back to life, he starts to mutate even further. Keeping him in this stasis kind of mode has frozen him in time, so he won't advance to this, probably some sort of government weapon that has been engineered, I'm assuming. So yeah, looks great. Bow, issue number 1, and I love the covers on these. Are so fantastic. One of the surprises of the day, Tim Tyler, is it? Yes, Tim Tyler. Holy shit, was this ever a good book? So this was Hades, 1 issue. The character then goes on to another series, which I started looking up on my comic shop. Let's see, it's 1995, I think. To be continued in the pages of Devil Jack. So I think there was a few issues of Devil Jack, 2 or 3 issues. This was such a good book, man. This was just bizarre. Kind of takes place. I don't know if it's another one that feels like it's just playing with a lot of different genres. There's this kind of horror type of element. There's this sci-fi elements in it. There's this kind of traditional Western element in it. He's got this alien growth that's attached to him that gives him these powers. He has to keep drugging the alien to keep it quiet. Otherwise, it's just this incessant noise in his head. And then he's able to kind of see spirits and conjure some spirits. So you get these really bizarre moments when he's killed someone, these demons coming to kind of tear them apart here and take them off to hell or whatever. This was such a good book, man. So here we go. There you can see the growth there as he's injecting it with a drug to put it to sleep. It'll take him out, put him down for a few days, the heavy dose of the drug he's injected into one of his little eyeballs. But he can't detach it from himself, so he wears the hat and the patch to kind of disguise it. So good, so bizarre. In chapter 2, he ends up traveling to this other little town where people are dying from this plague. He's immune to it due to the fact that he's got this alien creature on top of him, or attached to him rather. And then death comes and they have kind of like this almost showdown, this plague. Just fucking bizarre, beautiful art, crazy story. It's kind of one of the things that I love to see in some of these books is this, I know I'm reading a comic, so give me something. Sure, play within a genre or whatever, but I don't mind the blending of genres, and I don't mind you taking it to these extreme levels. It's kind of what I'm here for with some of this. And then we get some fantastic pinups at the end too. So I don't know how easy this is to find, but keep your eyes out for this Hades book. It's well worth your money. Even if it isn't $1, even if you got to spend $2 or $3, I would still suggest this is a strong book. And then finally, sort of keeping in tune with that, gonna raise the camera here a little bit. Every once in a while, you end up discovering something that kind of opens up a new avenue of creators and talent and these alternate publishers and sort of a peek into a different world. This is one of those books, so forgive my pronunciations here. Elytron Frass was the writer and illustrated by Charles N. Both of them can be found on Twitter. It was Mr. Frass here that sent me this book, shot me a message on Twitter and said, hey, I want to send you something. Shoot me your address. So this is his first graphic novel that he's written. He's a prose writer. Before this, has some self-published things, I believe. This is an absolute mind fuck of a book. This was such a good read. So it's Expat Press out of New York that puts this out. They have a website as well too where you can buy this. This came out this year, 2022. The very basic premise of this is that these hardcore manga fans, they're following a long-running manga series. The mangaka has ended the series not in a way that the fans are pleased with at all, and they decide they decide basically what they want to do is write their own kind of fan fiction about it. But they also end up just going fucking nuts and saying, "How can you do this to us?" And basically throwing the world into absolute chaos. And it's not something that kind of progresses. You literally turn a page and everything has descended into this fucking pit of horrors and monsters and just a bunch of degenerates and people going around doing horrific shit to each other. And it just kind of gets darker. So, I mean, we're only 16 pages in here. And already you get a sense of the chaos in this book. and it doesn't let up. It feels like it just gets darker and darker and darker and more fucked up the further the story goes. There are some returning characters in here. But like I said, that is a very, very basic premise. And it just kind of builds from there. This is a hell of a book. The thing I was a little concerned was that it wasn't going to read that well. I thought that some of the dialogue and some of the captioning and stuff would just be a challenge to kind of get through, and I didn't find that to be the case. There were some pages where it was kind of not quite purple prosy, isn't the proper word for it, but there's this sense sometimes with some of this more extreme stuff where you're almost creating a new language to kind of get a point across, and sometimes that can feel a little self-indulgent and a little like I'm going to use a bunch of words to really try to intellectualize this whole piece, to kind of create a purpose to portray some of these dark images. And that didn't happen here very much, which I was very pleased at. Was this an easy story to follow? Fuck no. This is 100% a book I'm going to need to reread. I feel like I got the gist of it from the first read through. Excuse me. Sorry, stuff falling down again. But it's one that I need to revisit. And the other thing that's so impressive about this is this Charles N. His art throughout this. This really sits in a place as a fan of kind of Cave Evil specifically, and kind of some of those artists that are in and around that scene. This feels like it comes from that kind of experimental music, noise music, kind of D&D RPG type of world, but to the extreme. You get some of these, and again, don't take this as an insult. It's not meant to be. You get some more of these kind of simplistic kind of character designs, but then you're met with these crazy kind of detailed backgrounds where it's just filled with ink on a page. And then you get more of these kind of abstract forms here there's some of the, that's a door, for example, but even some of the demons. And then you get some faces that are like this too, that have a really unique character. So uneven is kind of a word here. So, I mean, here's one of our characters that we run into with a woman tied to the ceiling. It's some dark shit. It kind of has a what was his name? Professor Dark. Was that series? There was a little bit of that, and these people start mutating into these demons here. So you get some of this intense kind of art as well. Yeah, this is a very, very unique, disturbing book in a way that I, again, can't quite put my finger on, but there's a real darkness here that is both kind of repellent and appealing at the same time. And like I said, doing a little bit of research into these individuals, seeing some interviews. I linked them on my Twitter page as well too. There's an interview with the writer and then a separate one with the artist, just to give you a little bit of a background on these people and kind of where they're coming from. Kind of helps you understand it a little bit more. There's kind of an angel creature here that comes to kind of help, but it's a bizarre book. I'm really thankful that he sent me out one of these. Sorry it took so long to kind of get to it, but I'm really, really happy to have this in the collection. And like I said, this is something I will be revisiting for sure, because I really just feel like I only have a very small understanding of what's going on in here. But it feels, kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning, it feels like not only you're digging into the world of this book, but also digging into a little bit of the subculture of the creators as well. I think is going to yield some a little better understanding of where they're coming from and what they're trying to achieve with something like this. But yeah, it's pretty firmly in that Cave Evil-ish type of subculture. they had a playlist. Charles had a playlist of things he was listening to, and I think so did. And again, I'm really sorry, Elytron. I know that I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but that's what I'm gonna go for. Yeah, look at this stuff here. Really great. Just very imaginative. It's great to be able to see stuff like this where I do honestly feel like some of these pages are unlike anything I've seen before, and that's pretty fucking impressive to me. It's always fun. I mean, it's again one of the things that I go for when I'm looking for all these books. When I'm digging through the 80s, those 50-cent bins, I'm looking for a unique voice. I'm looking for something that just is going to show me something that I haven't seen before, even as disturbing and fucked up as some of it is. Like getting fucked in the ass with a knife, for example, and then stabbed in the back of the head. It's intense, no doubt. So gather the kids, some bedtime stories for you. You can read a chapter before you tuck your children in at night. But the thing that's really kind of funny about it is just how quickly the world descends, just based on these people who didn't like the way their favorite manga ended, and just how quickly, how kind of on the edge we are as a society in this universe, to descend into absolute horrific turmoil. Anyway, so that's Vitiators is the name of that one. And again, that's 2022 from Expat Press, which is expatpress.com. Reality and manga meld as one under the influence of a grinding meta feud between a once beloved mangaka and his outraged fan base. A satiric metafictional atrocity. That's a really good way to describe it in graphic novel form. Vitiators openly invites its readers to become complicit in the psychedelic celebration of its gore-eroded exploits and offenses. So there you go. That is it. Thank you very much for hanging out, even those of you in the background. Eliza, nice to see you. Cthulhu Han Luke, great to see you. And like I said, hopefully we'll see you all on Sunday. It's a very tentative plan, but we'll try to get back into that cycle of our weekly chats and stuff. So I've got a lot more to read standing by. So including this that I got from the library, which I'm very excited to dig into, the classic collection of Captain Harlock. Gore Vidal, if you're watching, I'm very curious to get into this one. This is going to be really great. So that's it. Thanks, everybody. And we'll talk to you.